India's Air Force is in crisis. Right now, the Indian Air Force operates around 30 fighter squadrons, but its own military doctrine says it needs 42. That's a gap of over 350 combat jets. And while India scrambles to fill that hole, China is on the other side of the border, fielding the J-20 stealth fighter in growing numbers. So what does Russia do? It walks in with perhaps the most ambitious military aviation offer ever made to India. 100 Su-57 stealth fighters built right inside India with technology transfer that no Western nation would ever agree to. The question is, will India take it?
To understand why this offer matters, you first need to understand just how serious India's fighter shortage has become. The Indian Air Force currently operates roughly 30 fighter squadrons. By its own assessment, it needs at least 42. That's not a small gap. That's a structural deficit that has been building for over a decade. Aging fleets are being retired faster than new aircraft enter service. The Tejas program, India's homegrown fighter, has faced repeated delays. And the multi-role fighter aircraft competition, meant to bring in over 100 new jets, is still crawling through procurement. All of this is happening while China's Air Force grows stronger every single year. This is the backdrop against which Russia made its move.
Russia's proposal is genuinely unprecedented. Moscow has offered to manufacture at least 100 Su-57 stealth fighters inside India. Not just sell them, but actually build them on Indian soil with extensive technology transfer. The production hub? HAL's facility in Nashik, Maharashtra. The same plant where India has been assembling the Su-30 MKI under license for years. Russian technical teams have already visited Nashik and assessed its infrastructure. HAL's chairman DK Sunil confirmed that Russian engineers believe roughly 50% of the existing facilities can be repurposed directly for Su-57 production, after targeted upgrades. The remaining transformation would require new investment: stealth-compatible assembly lines, composite material workshops, secure software labs, and specialized radar-absorbent coating facilities. But here's what makes this offer different from past deals. Russia is also talking about source code access, integration rights for Indian weapons systems, and eventually letting India fit its own radars, mission computers, and electronic warfare systems onto the aircraft. That's not a supplier-customer relationship. That's a genuine industrial partnership.
But India has been here before, and it did not end well. Back in the 2000s, India and Russia launched the 5th-generation fighter aircraft program, a joint project to develop a customized derivative of the Su-57 specifically for India. It was supposed to be a landmark partnership. It fell apart in 2018. Indian officials had spent years complaining that Russia was refusing to share critical design information, stealth technologies, and knowledge about engine development. The costs kept escalating. The aircraft's maturity was questioned, and ultimately, New Delhi walked away. That history now casts a long shadow over these new negotiations. Inside Indian defense circles, Russian promises about technology transfer are viewed with real skepticism. Officials want to see the details, actual contracts, actual deliverables, actual timelines before committing to anything. Russia is clearly aware of this. That's why this new proposal is structured very differently, with explicit offers of source code access and Indian weapons integration baked into the pitch from the start. Whether that's enough to rebuild trust remains to be seen.
Meanwhile, the strategic clock is ticking, and China is the reason. China now operates the J-20 stealth fighter in significant and growing numbers. It's also developing the J-35, a carrier-capable stealth aircraft expected to enter service in the coming years. Together, these platforms would give the People's Liberation Army Air Force a generational advantage over India's current fleet. Indian strategists are increasingly alarmed. The Su-57 is appealing precisely because it could potentially enter Indian service years before India's own indigenous 5th-generation fighter, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA, becomes operational. A fleet of 40 to 60 Su-57s could serve as a bridge, a credible stealth capability to counter the J-20 while AMCA is developed. That's why there's real interest, even among officials cautious about Russia's larger 100 aircraft proposal. The problem is the scale Russia is demanding.
Here's where it gets complicated. India already has enormous aviation commitments on its books. 180 Tejas Mark 1A fighters, around 120 Tejas Mark II aircraft, over 100 jets in the long-running MRFA competition, and then AMCA, India's flagship indigenous fifth-generation program, expected to generate more than 120 aircraft entering service in the 2030s. Layering a 100-aircraft Su-57 production program on top of all of that is not just expensive, it risks pulling industrial resources, engineering talent, and political capital away from the programs India considers its path to true aerospace independence. That's the core of Indian hesitation. The Air Force itself is reportedly more interested in a direct government-to-government purchase of 40 to 60 jets, a straightforward procurement rather than a full-blown manufacturing transformation. Quick capability, limited disruption. Moscow, however, has made clear that anything under roughly 100 aircraft doesn't justify building the entire production infrastructure. For Russia, this is all or nothing.
As of now, no agreement has been signed. India is still waiting on detailed cost estimates, production timelines, and investment figures from Russia. Every month that passes without those commercial details risks strengthening the argument inside India that the money should go towards accelerating Tejas Mk2 and AMCA instead. Russian negotiators, for their part, seem to believe that India's worsening squadron numbers and China's expanding stealth fleet will eventually force New Delhi's hand, that the pressure of operational reality will outweigh the appeal of industrial purity. There's also a wild card on the table. Russia has floated a twin-seat Su-57 variant designed to command unmanned combat drones, a crewed-uncrewed teaming concept that reflects where air combat is heading. India's enthusiasm for that idea is reportedly limited for now, but it signals Russia is thinking long-term.
Whichever way India decides, the stakes could not be higher. If New Delhi accepts even a limited Su-57 deal, India gets its first operational stealth aircraft, and the regional air power balance shifts overnight. If India rejects the offer, it signals a clear choice: tolerate the capability gap, protect indigenous sovereignty, and bet everything on AMCA delivering on time. One path offers capability now. The other offers independence later. India cannot easily have both. And with China's J-20 fleet growing on the other side of the Himalayas, the cost of getting this decision wrong is enormous. This is one of the most consequential defense choices India will make this decade.